Right, good afternoon. Can't believe there's so many people here for the last day. Look at this. Good afternoon, my name is Mark Evans. I'm a Strategic Customer Success Manager with Tableau based out of Sydney, Australia. I have the privilege of working, partnering, and being a best friend. I get all emotional. For the last 3.5 years, we've gone through, well, 3 separate jobs. Fiona Gordon, Tableau Social Media Advocate, Data Room Women, co-host the Sydney Tug with me, and just an absolute monster data nut job in the best way, genuinely. So, some of the best stuff about working in the SCSM role is having challenging customers. Sarah's here as well from SCB. And keeping up with these kinds of people, these unique beings that have such momentum. They're like a fusion reactor, right? They never burn out. And SMSs at 3 o'clock in the morning and all sorts of wacko stuff and pushing those boundaries. The Tableau online on-demand training courses that you see at tableau.com, there's a URL. You can go and draw those down, right, in 7 different languages. It's because of her. You'll see it later on. It's just an example of pushing the boundaries and innovation, just like you're going to share with us today.
But it's also because of him as well. I couldn't have got it done without him.
No. So with that, can we have a Deep South, Louisiana, New Orleans welcome for Fiona Gordon.
A recent survey of over 5,000 professionals from around the world found that only 17% of them were data literate. And by 2020, Gartner predict that 80% of organizations will deliver a deliberate competency program around data literacy. The one thing you need to take away today is embed data literacy in your organization before you're left behind. Now, I know that a lot of you have been out at Data Night Out last night and you've probably got a little bit of a sore head. So I want to make it a little bit more interactive during the session. So please don't leave me hanging. I want you to all say this with me. I will embed data literacy in my organization before we're left behind. That's right. That's right. Thank you. Well done. Round of applause for you all. Thank you. Thank you. So a little bit about me. Well, until last Friday, I was the Executive Manager of Customer Insights and Analytics at CommSec. Now, CommSec runs an online trading platform for Australia. In fact, we're the largest retail online trading platform. And I ran all of the analytics for CommSec. So there were 4 teams. We did things like campaigns, insights, digital analytics, market research, and of course, data visualization. And it was really important to our teams to be able to do the right thing with data. But unfortunately, when I first started at CommSec, there were only 3 individuals that were using Tableau. In addition to that, I just arrived and the results from an engagement survey stated that my team actually wanted more formal and informal training. So it was like the perfect storm. Here I was, empowered by my executives to deliver a great strategy, a capability within my teams. And so I built the Nourish Me program. Nourish Me was all about giving back to my team, for them to actually learn, for them to actually build their capabilities. And underneath Nourish Me, I delivered 2 programs of work, one of which is the Tableau Quest, and the second one is the Ultrix Grand Prix. And today, you are all going to learn about the Tableau Quest, a gamification program that you can take back to your teams and actually deliver it. That's right, I will give you the content behind the Tableau Quest. You don't need to do anything if you choose. You can Control-C, Control-V, and dump it into your organization. Or edit if you like. In addition to that, most recently, it's been announced that I'm joining a fabulous team at JLL. Joining this man here, and I have to do a shout out to Paul Chapman. He actually recommended me for the role. I'm going to be the BI Strategist Director for the Asia-Pac region in facilities management. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I get to really focus in the space of data visualization, deliver these great programs like the Tableau Quest, potentially the Ultrix Grand Prix as well, but I also get to extend my knowledge in the predictive area and deliver on IoT, optimization, and predictive analytics. How great is that? I'm super psyched. It's only a couple of weeks until I get started, so I can't wait. Now, as Mark mentioned, thank you for the great intro, Mark. I love you too. I am a Tableau social ambassador, so that means I tweet a lot. I'm sure that Tableau would like it if I blog a little more as well. And in addition to that, I do co-lead the Sydney Tug. Now, tugs are a great way to get involved with the Tableau community. Hands up, who's been to a tug before? Fabulous. So if you haven't been to a tug, try and locate your local tug. It's a really great way to hear use cases that people are doing, and definitely come along and steal like an artist, just like you're going to do today. Are you committed? Are you committed to delivering data literacy in your organization? Can I get a woo? Woo! Yeah, that's right. So finally, when I get sick of doing data after hours, I am a mad scuba diver, and I love to go and blow bubbles in great locations around the world, like the Great Barrier Reef or potentially the Maldives. So what have we got coming up today? Well, to start out with, we'll discover why should we do data literacy? Why should you get involved? What should you deliver out to your people? I'm going to teach you about how to put together a data literacy program, and also what to include. I've done all the research for you. I've found the great ways that you can actually get there with your team. I'll give you some proof as well, and show you what people have actually delivered along the way. And finally, like any good game, I will give you some cheat codes so that you can unlock your potential. But to start out with, again, let's loosen up and maybe play a little game. So what I want you to do is I want you to call out the opposite to the word that appears on the screen. Are you ready? Yeah. Good. White. Well, that's very good. I've taken it easy to start with, obviously. What about, yes, all right, we're doing really well. What about work? Play. Oh, you're very good. Usually I get a response of many different people. They may say things like family, going out, having fun. But the thing is, what if we could turn work into a little bit of play along the way? Woo! Thank you very much, sir. So to start out, I'm going to take you through a little game that I found online. Who's played rock, paper, scissors before? Great. Well, we're going to play against Professor Markov. Markov looks a little evil, doesn't he? Yep. He wants to play me for this little dog here. Let's see what happens. So we start playing rock, paper, scissors, and I won't promise this is like a horse race along the way. But when Markov actually ties with me, he wins, and you can see that the dog starts to come down. I'm very sad, I'm not doing very well, and I was quite frustrated actually. I thought I should be able to do better. Maybe let's try again. I think I've started a little bit to do a little bit better. It certainly went down a lot more at the start while I was starting to understand what was going on. But I speeded up and I'm still not really going anywhere. What about if I set a strategy? Oh, and what's that? A graph. All of a sudden, I can see on the visualization in front of me, if Markov selects scissors, his next likely move is rock. So I should select paper. Then I go to scissors rock, and he also mainly selects rock. So again, I select paper. Slowly but surely, I go through the visualization and work out what's the strategy, that I should actually do. And here we go. I can now autoplay, speed it up, and hopefully I have a puppy at the end of the day. Fabulous. That's a bit of fun, and it's all learning about Markov chains. All of a sudden, you could understand what was happening from a data visualization. And you could know what you should be actually doing next and try and predict it. So in today's session, we are going to find out about the Tableau Quest, my gamification program to deliver out to your people, my people, and everyone. So next up, what is data literacy? Well, this is your opportunity to turn to your next door neighbour and have a 30-second discussion on what you believe that data literacy actually is. Please. Thank you very much for that great discussion. Well, there's many different definitions out here, but this one is my particular favourite. The ability to get meaningful information out of data. Why is it my favourite? Well, one thing, it's really crisp, so I can understand and remember it when I'm presenting to you. The second thing is because it's really about getting meaningful information out of data. Anyone can cut a report, but what does it mean? Is it really doing anything to drive action? I don't know. What about Tableau's mission? Anyone know that? Anyone keen enough to yell it out?
Help people see and understand their data.
Yes, very well done. We've obviously been coached a lot throughout this conference. So, the theory goes that if we're teaching people Tableau, it is one way of enabling data literacy. So why should we do data literacy? And I've stolen one of our favourite Tableau people's sayings. Well, it depends. And it depends on a number of different reasons. It depends on your company's why, it depends on your why, and it depends on your people's why. There are different reasons for different people throughout your organisation. And I like to think you start out with yourself. Why do I want to enable data literacy within my organisation? For me, it was simple. I wanted to help people. I wanted to strengthen my team. I didn't want them to forget about learning. I wanted them to develop their capabilities. It's almost like people leave university, and many people just leave all of that learning behind, and it's very difficult to start picking up on things. So I knew that I wanted to enable my team for a better, more productive way to actually do their roles. And that leads me into my second point, my organisation's why. Well, as I mentioned, many of them were, only 3 of them were actually visualising in Tableau. The rest of them, when they were doing insights, were coding it out, dumping it into Excel, doing the old pivot table, and iterating through and creating those presentations. I think a lot of us have seen that before. Now, by rolling out Tableau, it's great, but then we need to build the capability program as well. And why would we roll out Tableau? Well, the one thing about it is, if somebody, one of the stakeholders, needs a change, all of a sudden you can just change the underlying data, and all of the previous visualizations that you've already analysed are there. They're already done. You don't need to go and repivot. You don't need to go and reanalyze too much. You can see quite quickly and iterate quite quickly. Tableau also provides stronger governance. So if the data exists in curated data sources on your server, they can tap into them really quickly. We are going to be able to get from zero to hero in a matter of minutes. But my people's why? Well, this is a trickier one. You know, rolling out a new tool. Well, I can already do it. I'm a good coder. I know that I can deliver. I can use Excel. I know how to get through things. Learning a new tool can be complex. It can be difficult. Why should I get involved? Well, actually, one of the Iron Viz contestants from last night, Corey Jones, had put up a visualization a while back that showed incredible growth in terms of the job availability for Tableau skills within the US. And I showed that to my team, and I said to them, listen, these skills that you have, that you will receive in this program, will serve you well moving forward in your career. In addition to that, Corey had a really interesting stat. And that was, if you present data with a visualization, 65% of people will remember that statistic 3 days later. If you don't have a visualization, then only 10% will remember it. Let's think about that for a minute. That's a huge gap. We all want to be more influential. We all want to do better at our jobs. We all want to progress in our roles. And one way of doing that is through Tableau. So I explained to my team all of the reasons, in addition to the fact that, as you will see later, they get to get certified, and I paid for it. It's a fabulous way for them to grow their capability and to measure their progress along the way. So how do we do it? Let's get into the nuts and bolts a little bit. So hands up, who went to university? Right. So university courses are split into 3 different parts. You go into your lectures and you learn from your professor. You move along, you do some tutorials, some assignments, some labs. That's your practice, your challenges. And then finally, you go along to your exams, midterm, end of term, semester, I'm not sure what you call it over here. Here's how I structured my program into those 3 key areas. In addition to that, I had to assign work time. I assigned my team 4 hours of training per week. They didn't have to do the quest. They could do anything that they wanted to do. I applied the theory of not using extrinsic motivation, but intrinsic motivation. Now, the difference is, if I provide a reward at the end of different stages throughout the quest, people get burnt out very quickly. They don't necessarily retain the information that you're trying to teach them. So I had to find a way to intrinsically motivate them, which was about those things that I discussed before. There's explosive job growth. You're going to be better communicators. You're going to be able to do things more quickly. Our company is going to enjoy better insights along the way. That is how I drew them into the quest. You'll see throughout the quest we also do group challenges or group tasks as well. Doing things with other people is way more fun. And then finally, we have a way to check in our results. So every fortnight we'll check in the results and do a feedback session. But we'll check that out a little bit more later. Now you may be thinking that this is quite an incredible cost for your organisation. The numbers up here I've translated from Australian dollars into US dollars just for you. The total cost is $1,300. The training component is only $438. And then the certification is $862. Not bad, right? $1,300 to get someone from rookie to rockstar. So here we have the different levels that people need to go through. And you can start to see the different stages. So to get onto rookie status, there's only 4 hours. The hours listed are cumulative. So as you progress through, you can start to see that I'm staggering those hours or weighting them more towards the end. The reason for that is that if you create momentum, if people start to see their progress, they want to continue throughout the quest as well. So let's get into the nuts and bolts. Now, hopefully I remember once I've gone through all of this, you can take a photo of it and you can see my little website up there. That's where you can go and you can download. I've got it up on Google Drive. And the Google Drive has the PowerPoint. It doesn't have this pack. This pack will be live, I'm assuming, after conference. However, it does have the pack of the Playbook. What's a Playbook? Well, it's the rules, it's the guidelines, it's what's included, it's what we're about to go through. So you don't need to remember everything that I'm telling you today. You have a playbook that you can go away and download. It's my gift to you, and I'd really love to hear back and have your feedback on what's really working in your organisations. I've had some so far about different ways that people are going through things. It's really interesting to see the different takes that everyone puts onto the quest. So to start out with, we have rookie status, and you can see a little number 1 there. That means that there's just one challenge to complete. Mark mentioned in the intro that I'd managed to convince Tableau that I should be able to have their video content for training. I've gone through and curated specific videos that will really help people to build their first visualization, a complete dashboard. It takes around 4 hours to complete, but it also has quizzes. So it means that I know, rather than just sending people to the Tableau website, that they can actually complete and they learn the knowledge along the way. Now guess what? That's actually open. So I've shared that content. So when you go and download the playbook, you can also empower your teams with those quizzes that I've developed. And they get a certificate at the end so they can prove that they've done it. So 4 hours of Tableau intro training. Now, it was so successful at the bank, where we had around 1,200 desktop users in total, that we decided to implement it locally and put a little bit of extra content on, which was really relevant to our own ecosystem. It told people about where they needed to go, how they needed to log a ticket, what they needed to do to get server access, how could they create new sites along the way. Those things were all included in the training. And it also gave a little bit of friction in terms of desktop licenses actually being handed out. So let's move on to the apprentice level. And you can see some familiar names, hopefully, up here with Makeover Monday. Who's heard of Makeover Monday? And hands up, keep your hands up if you've completed one. Okay, so there's a challenge for each of you. You should definitely log on. Eva and Andy do an incredible job. Each week, they go out and scour the internet, and they find a visualization and some data that people can download and go and make over the original visualization. The challenge I set for my team was complete that visualization in just 1 hour. Occasionally, well actually once a month, I would put on a breakfast. Now, being millennials and analysts, they like to turn up later in the day, but by bringing them through at breakfast time and putting some free food on, they would rock up, we would sit down, we would do the visualizations together for an hour, and then we would actually present back. So here's another skill set that they're learning along the way. How do I present what I've done? Even if they hadn't got to where they wanted, they still needed to present and explain what they were trying to do. From there, it was open up to the floor, to the analysts. And the analysts would ask questions around the design. Why did you choose those colours? Why did you choose that particular visualization? And then from there, we gave feedback. And here's something that's a really great way I've learned on giving feedback. We start out by saying, I like your colour choice, I like your visualisation choice. But where there's something maybe missing, or perhaps I would do differently, I say, I suggest. I suggest adding a tooltip in there. It will help me to understand more about what you're trying to achieve. If you're ever trying to give feedback, it can be quite difficult, but it's a great way to communicate because a suggestion, it can really be taken on board or just parked and left to the side. Up next, we have Tableau Lunch and Learns. So you can see some numbers here. For Makeover Mondays, we needed to complete 2 of those to hit Apprentice Level. And then in addition to that, we've got Lunch and Learns, another 2. Tableau come on site once a month, and they help my team based on different knowledge nuggets. These knowledge nuggets are courses like, how do I do LODs? Or perhaps right at the basic level, what are basic calculations? How do I do workbook optimization? Reach out to Tableau and ask them, can you help me with this? Finally, I've sourced some great training online. It's an amazing course by a gentleman called Kirill Eremenko, and it's at a bargain basement price of $39 US. That's really cheap. In addition to that, if you want to load a whole group on there, they will do a discount for you, and I found that I got 25% off. Another one of my passions, negotiation. In order to complete the apprentice level, they only need to complete the first half of the training, the basic component. Now, there are some things that are actually repeated from the Tableau intro training into the basic component, but what it's doing is it's reminding them. It's creating that information, it's embedding that knowledge with what they do. Now into Pro, you can see how we're starting to layer up some of the challenges. So there's 3 more Makeover Mondays, 1 more Tableau Lunch and Learn, and the second part of the training, the advanced component. Once they've completed that, they actually get a certificate at the end as well. And now here's another community challenge, Workout Wednesday. Again, hands up who's heard of Workout Wednesday? Oh, good. And how many have completed one? Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a much more difficult challenge that's set out. And it was originally started by Andy Kriebel and Emma White in the UK. And recently it's been taken over this year by Roddy Zakovich, Luke Stank, and Anne Jackson. Now what they do is they go out and build quite a complex visualization. These guys are at the top of their game, and girls. And they go out there, they build a complex visualization. It's typically got a few hooks in it. Not web hooks, sorry, Banoob. They also provide you with the data and a list of rules that you need to adhere to in order to deliver the visualization. I recommend to my team that they spend an hour and a half on this. They try Googling, they try doing a whole lot of things. And if they can't actually complete it, they should download the workbook and reverse engineer it. It's the best way to learn the more complex parts of Tableau. In order to complete Pro level, they need to have completed 5 Workout Wednesdays. Coming into Expert, there's more Makeover Mondays, more Tableau Lunch and Learns. We have more Workout Wednesdays. And now we have something called Presenting a Brown Bag Session. Now, I'm not sure if brown bag has the same connotations here in the US, but in Australia, what it's all about is taking your lunch along and sitting around as a group, and one of the team will present to you for an hour about a topic that may be of interest. For instance, why you shouldn't be doing workbook extracts and why you should be creating curated data sources and how to create those curated data sources on your server environment. That way everyone can share along the way. In order to hit the expert level, they need to have completed at least one of these presentations. It's now that we start to step into the prep exam, or the qualifications that the team can get. So there's a great amount of content online of people who have been really generous to help out with helping you to study for your qualified associate exam. Was there anyone in here that sat it while we've been at conference? Yeah? How did it go? Yay, congratulations. So once they've completed the prep exam, they can actually see where the knowledge gaps are. They can then go and study it. It's an open book exam while you're actually doing it, but it's a lot harder than you actually think. Whilst it's only 36 multi-choice questions, you're really pushed for time during that period. And it's actually really good to do it while you're at conference because you've got less lag, which can happen while you're actually doing it online if you're at home. Finally, the teams submit or complete their qualified associate certification. And our last level, the one that everyone wants to be, a rock star. So Makeover Mondays, there's a lot more. There's more Tableau Lunch and Learns. Then there's more Workout Wednesdays, more presenting, and then there's some more training. This is the component of visual analytics training that will actually teach you what you should be doing with colour, size, proximity, how you can actually communicate your data better to people. The course that I've selected is one by Andy Kirk. He does it online, and it's about once a quarter. Andy's written a book called Visualizing Data, and this particular course teaches you about really understanding what's actually required along the way. And I've had some great results with my team as well in completing this course. And finally, the big hitter, this is almost half the cost of the entire quest. It's $600 to complete your Certified Pro exam. Within that exam, obviously there's some questions for you to answer, but you also need to do some practical work as well. Out of curiosity, did anyone sit while they were here? How'd you go?
It takes 3 weeks to get your results.
Right, okay. Well, let us know when you're on Twitter and maybe I'll tweet it out afterwards as well. So this is the opportunity if you do want to see this diagram that has all of the different details. But as I mentioned, you will be able to get this and download it from my website as well. So just a quick refresh of what it is and how much learning you do. Whilst there is a lot of different types of training and learning, it's actually only 42 hours of learning and training. Where it really comes in, where you really start to learn, is when you start to put it into practice. And the beauty of putting it into practice is the team, they start to build out their Tableau Public profile. They can measure their progress along the way. They can see how they started out and then how things improve. And it's a great way for them to actually show and demonstrate what they're doing to future employers as well. I use Tableau Public a lot to screen people coming through into my team. So if you're an analyst and you're looking to build or go out, I would absolutely recommend that you build your Tableau Public profile. And Makeover Mondays and Workout Wednesdays are a great way to do this. And finally, there's the certification. It's only 6 hours in total, so it's not that much to be able to do it along the way. So that main component is that chunky middle bit, those challenges, building that muscle memory. So the playbook, this is what you'll see in PowerPoint, our favourite tool. So from start to end, you can see exactly what's happening. You can learn all about how to check in, what you need to do along the way. It's got all of the links. It's got the links to the training. It's got where you need to go. It's got some examples in there as well. So it's the perfect thing to download. And I've added in, as an extra bonus for you, some recommended reading that I have. Here's what one of the slides actually looks like from the playbook. So the playbook I give to my team. Once I've presented to them, they're onboarded. This is the thing that they go back to refer to. What am I supposed to be doing next? And where do I go? What do I do? How do I enroll for the exam? What do I need to do along the way to progress? I've got little numbers down the side which tells you how many challenges you need to complete on each level to get there. So I mentioned a little earlier, we do check-in sessions. So those check-in sessions, we originally delivered as twice a week, and we got everyone to come in, and the feedback from the team, or the critique I received from my team, was it feels like a check-up instead of a check-in. So we changed it. We changed it to be once a fortnight along the way. They come along and they present their visualizations or their certificates that they've delivered or that they've achieved. I get an opportunity to provide feedback to each individual. The team provide feedback as well. So does everyone remember how we give feedback? So I like and I suggest. Yeah, that's right. Great work. So this is the visualization that pops out after the end of each check-in. Now, it's a little whimsical. Yes, I understand. It's got lots of colour and it smacks you in the face. That's because it's supposed to be a little bit of fun. We aren't doing this to, say to people, you have to do this. We are saying we are empowering you in your career to move ahead with what you're doing. So up here in the top half of the visualization, you can see John. So John's an analyst who joined my team last year. Bless you. John had 2 years of Tableau experience when he started. And when I took the snapshot, which was a little while ago, he was actually on pro level and heading towards expert. And I can see here he's got a couple of crosses, and what he hasn't completed is the prep exam and the QA exam. But he has kind of overachieved in some Makeover Mondays that are published and Workout Wednesdays. So he's got 2 tasks to go until he's an expert. Now moving down, where does the gamification come in? It's actually in this healthy little competition. So the leaderboard that we have here, this is a way for our team to actually see what's being delivered along the way. Now I get to cheat a little bit because I was doing Makeover Mondays and things before we started the quest, so I sort of leapfrogged forward with my team. But John, who's on pro level, wants to check out Erica, who's still a rookie. He wants to understand why she's doing so well. He can have a look to the right-hand side here and start to see, well, she's banging out a lot of Makeover Mondays. This is the area that she's really flying ahead in. It's a really great way to actually see them progress. They like to see and measure what's happening, knowing that they're moving forward, knowing that they're beating, potentially, their colleagues along the way as well. So do you want some proof about how it actually works? So this is Erica. She's a customer insights and research analyst in my team, and she is an amazing analyst. She'd never used Tableau. She couldn't code. She's not really a data person. What a research analyst does is they bring the information back from our agencies and they make sure that it gets presented in a way that people can actually understand it. But typically, the agencies have put a lot of the presentations together. They're just the people that are the conduit between the stakeholders and the agency to ensure that we understand how we can help Australians invest online with confidence. So at the stage that I put this slide together, Erica had done 17 tasks and was still a rookie. And this was her first Makeover Monday. Now, when you first start to look at the visualization, it's okay. You kind of go, oh, there's lots of white space, that's great. It's got a bar chart, that's good. And I start to have a look at the map and I'm like, okay. And then I start to look at that key and I'm trying to work out what's actually happening in each of the visualizations, and then I get really stressed out because there's too much kind of going on. There's too much cognitive load. Moving into 2 of Erica's most recent Makeover Mondays, you can see a step change. The first one here is showing the world as 100 people. Now, what I like about this visualization is that Erica has used the globe in the middle as inspiration around the colour choices for a lovely visualization, a waffle chart. Now, the top left waffle is actually showing you, I know it's really hard to see, on the screen size, but it's actually showing you people with a religion in the blue versus without a religion in the green. Now this time, instead of having a key, she's actually using the colour in the title to describe what's happening. That's her key. And the feedback that I gave her was that the one thing that I would suggest doing differently was adding a tooltip in here. So I really knew what was happening in terms of the difference between the data. Another Makeover Monday of Erica's is the Arctic sea ice receding. And you can see that the colour slowly drifts down. It almost looks like an iceberg along the way. And it's quite scary, but very simple and very clean and very crisp to understand. And the great thing was she put a tooltip in this time so I could really understand it. So moving on to John. As I mentioned, John already had 2 years of experience when he started the Tableau Quest. Would you believe that the Tableau Quest works for people who have already had experience as well? John's currently on pro level and has completed 33 tasks. But here's some of his feedback to me about it. You know, I asked him questions. How did you feel about starting out at the beginning, about going back? And he said it was actually a good refresher. You know, it was a little bit frustrating at the time, but I really got to learn about different things. He said that Carol's course really helped him with level of detail calculations as well. In particular, he really enjoys doing the Workout Wednesday challenges. And that's because he's finding more elegant ways to deliver things instead of hacking around and finding different ways to do it. So he's learnt a lot. He's built some confidence along the way. So next up, you're going to see a little video from my friend Sarah Burnett, not to be confused with Bartlett, who is sitting adjacent to her. So Sarah is a Tableau ambassador and is based in Singapore. And I'd really love it if you give her a follow as well on Twitter. I'm trying to get her up to 1,000 followers, so please follow her now. Thank you. And let's hear what Sarah has to say about the Tableau Quest.
Hi everyone, my name's Sarah, and like Fee, I'm a social Tableau ambassador. I work for a large financial institution based in Singapore. Here we have the tools and we definitely have the data, but a structured platform to build our data literacy was missing. When I saw the Tableau Quest and Fee's Playbook, I knew my Tableau data literacy prayers had been answered. What's even better is it's on our website for free. So I did what anyone would do and stole it like an artist. Before seeing the Tableau Quest, I'd already run some parts internally, like Makeover Monday and Tableau Days, and put my team through Tableau training. But what we lacked was a challenge to formalize the process while making it fun and accessible to the wider community. I really like the way it gets people together in a friendly, competitive way and gives structure to recognize your champions. So if you're looking to lift your community from Tableau rookies to Tableau rock stars, do what I did and steal this today.
So a round of applause for Sarah, because I know that's really hard to be on video as well. So as promised, like any good game, I have some cheats for you. First up, and I think that Sarah says it best, steal like an artist, rip it off, take my content. You can amend it too. So there's many other people around the world that are actually using this content. I've presented it in Sydney. I've also presented to a few people in Melbourne, and there's been a few people that have reached out and asked me to present to them around the world as well. People like the NHS, people like the bank. It's really interesting to see different spins. So someone changed the brown bag sessions into Train Your Dragon, which I kind of like. There's also other challenges that you could complete, like Sports Viz Sunday or Viz for Social Good. Really start layering things in that are going to help your organisation. Remember that you'll need to explain why to a lot of people. You'll need to be committed to yourself to actually deliver it. You need to know your own why so that you can be motivated to see it through to the end. You also need to understand how to communicate it through to your leadership team. If you're like me and you were putting 4 hours towards it, It took a little bit of convincing to get along the way about what they were going to get. I get greater retention out of my team. I get greater engagement scores. They get better productivity. They get better insights. There are a lot of things that are actually happening. And of course, my team gets certified and they also build their capability along the way. What I have built starts out easy and progressively gets more and more difficult. So it's definitely logical. I keep it visible in the organisation. When people get certified, I send an email to my manager, the COO, and then he sends out a letter of congratulations or an email of congratulations to the team as well. It's really important for them to see that what they are doing is actually changing the way that they're doing things. And finally, make it achievable. So I started out with a lot more challenges and I dialed it down a little bit so that it's only 163 hours. That 163 hours is completable, in just over a year, or around a year, I think, with other things that they have going on. So it's important that you make sure that you're not making it too much out of reach, that they feel like they can get to those certification levels. Some people will choose not to, and that's okay as well. You'll see that they actually build their capability no matter what. Assign some time, have some fun group sessions, get that feedback going as well, the I likes and the I suggests, and it's critical that you measure it. One of the teams that I know that's actually delivered it, they did it differently. They actually booked people into classrooms and put them through the different challenges together, so it was booked in. They felt that they didn't need to do the check-in sessions or the measuring as well. And on reflection, when they sort of did an implementation review of their incubation group, they said the next time that they roll it out, they will definitely do the visualization and dashboard. And finally, don't be afraid to iterate. Get that feedback from your team. Don't do a check-in session or check-up session, do a check-in session. Perhaps look at what's actually included, find out from your teams, is this the right thing that we should actually be including? And just keep changing it until it really fits within your organisation. So you all remember what we committed to at the beginning of this session, and it's the one thing you need to take away today. Embed data literacy in your organisation before you're left behind. Thank you. So I think we do have some time for some Q&A if people do want to ask any questions. So we have a mic coming around.
Thank you, great effort. Wanted to ask you, if people do complete, this whole framework that you created, is there any way to get the data out of that to then create a viz on our side? So I work at a financial institution, and I would love to see if we directed people to your site, how many people are actually doing it? And can we track that?
Yeah, so I actually, it may be slightly in an opposite direction. So I deliver them back out the certificates, so they can give you that, or I can just we can find a way to copy it, and you can have your own course with exactly the same content. It's not about, you can manage it, it's not about me, it's about your teams. Hi.
Hi. I was just wondering what your thought process was and why you wanted to move visual analytics so far to the end.
Great question. Thank you. It was more about dealing with their technical capability, but in fact, I've had team members that have done it all the way back closer to the beginning. I'm not really hard and fast on the rules of how I make them go through. Remember, it's their choice to actually come in, participate in the quest, and if they're coming to me and saying, I really want to do that course, I put them on the course.
Hey, Fee, that was a great talk. How do you handle people on your team that either don't want to participate or maybe someone fails an exam? How do you go about that?
So I'm fine if they don't want to participate and I don't force them. That's the whole point of it. In fact, I find that people are more likely either in the Ultrix camp and they really want to do the Ultrix Grand Prix, or they're in the Tableau camp. And then there's some that don't want to do that, but they want to do maybe a data science course. For me, it's all about building capability, and it's about empowering my end users. So that's how I deal with it.
Your training program, is it designed for primarily desktop users, or is it for Tableau server only users?
Actually, it's primarily based around the Tableau desktop users. There was someone, Banu, was it, that has done an executive track which shows the executives how they should actually be stepping through the program. So maybe he'll share some of his content of going through server as well. I'd like to do an exec track program of my own.
I feel that was.
Does that answer your question? Sorry. Great, okay. So the question is, what do you do about people who are just server-only users and exploring through rather than the creators? So at the moment, I haven't got a server-only course or data literacy program, but I would like to have it. One thing that I have done in the past, though, is in the dashboards that have been designed, having an info icon with a video embedded in it, which is, this is how you need to use this particular page of the workbook. Works really well when there's quite a number of people going on to the visualizations, and you can't train everyone, so you just need to do the video once, and then it's done. Thank you.
I feel that was different class. I thought I love the balance between the nice informal gamey atmosphere and actually the fact that there's some serious work to do there. I was quite surprised. 15 workout Wednesdays. You're not giving this stuff away for free. And on that, did you find problems with people? Some people maybe finding it a little bit too challenging, and maybe a bit of attrition along the way. And how are the enthusiasm levels of people as they progress through the ranks?
So there were people. It's really interesting watching different behaviours of the team. So a lot of people actually started out doing workout Wednesdays. They want to just go like straight in, and then they got a little bit scared along the way. And so taking them through the training programs and talking to them about what they were doing really helped them. So it was around that feedback session. Tell me why you're jumping into workout Wednesday. What are you trying to achieve with it? And it's like, oh, well, actually, maybe you need to take a full day out of the office and go and do your basic training first. So let's do 2 weeks worth of training on one day, and then the second part of it, do it in a fortnight as well. So the enthusiasm waned. So with the Ultrix Grand Prix, I did things a little bit differently, and I did try a bit of extrinsic motivation. They had some carrots at the end of it. They raced, like there was some people that absolutely caned through the program and got advanced certification on Ultrix, which was really amazing, and I'm really happy for them. They're doing some crazy beep things. But yeah, so when they did that, I think that it actually made some of the other people perhaps a little more disengaged. I do, from time to time, give out some swag. But I have a swag spreadsheet so that I'm not giving swag to the same people for the same reason. It's really like, it's not like if I do this, then I get that. It's more about, oh wow, she's really thought that I've done something really, really well, and I get to celebrate for that. And so that's how I measure it.
Hi, that was awesome, and I'm super excited to download that. How much of a management perspective do you find yourself needing to spend on just keeping tabs on all of it, and how much overhead am I talking about of my time to execute on the program?
Sure. So once a month I would be running Makeover Mondays, and that was an hour and a half of my time. And every fortnight I would come in and do the check-in sessions. And actually I didn't run the check-in sessions. I got one of my team to do it for me. But I love it. Being in leadership, a lot of people find it difficult to get the time out of meetings to go and do things. And the thing that I love the most is spending time with my team and helping them. And so it was a real joy for me to get some time to see what they were doing, how they were progressing, and have those questions. Even in the Ultrix side, which can be a little difficult to go, great workflow. It's more for when it's the workflow, it's like, so tell me what you did, tell me what you learned. What do you think could have been done differently? And the really interesting thing is when people have done the same thing and they come at it from 2 different angles, and then they start to have a really good discussion around what they're doing. So yeah, it's about 2.5 hours a month. Yeah. The main thing is in just setting everything up, and getting everyone on board.
Great work, Fee.
Thanks, Paul.
So, as an organisation, you invest in these people quite heavily. You're developing their talent, and then potentially they've got the ability to take that talent elsewhere,
Yes.
so grow and move in the marketplace. Did you have any pressure from your HR teams to put any kind of retainer on with them that if they left within a certain period, they'd have to contribute back to the cost of it, or they were very happy to support and just say, it's fine if we have some attrition as a result?
So I was really lucky. Whilst I didn't have a stated budget, I could spend money. My HR department did not give me a training budget. So in Australian dollars, it's only $1,840. So it's not that much to actually commit. In fact, that's almost the same as sending someone to a 2-day course, and all of a sudden I'm sending them through the training. There is a component, obviously, around time. But what I saw was a massive uptick in engagement scores. So I saw it go from 59% to 73% when we delivered the quest. So that's a major kind of indication of where people are at, how they want to be retained, do they want to actually believe in it? And given that I've just finished at ComSec, I had a really beautiful lunch with my team as I was leaving. And they actually made me, it's making me teary now, they made me cry because they went around the table and they talked about all of the different initiatives that we'd done together, of which this is one. And they were just so grateful for the amount of investment that I'd put into them and into their careers, and they recognised that this was a very unique case. So yeah, I was pretty happy about that. Yeah.
Thanks for this today. You keep referring to your team, so I assume this is something you roll out within your organization, but is anyone rolling it out organization-wide, and are there other complications or things to think about in that realm?
Yeah, so I haven't come across any, I tend to work in the large enterprise level, and typically the people that I've been speaking to so far have been more departmental, let's say. The largest group that are looking to do it is around 300 Tableau desktop users, but they're looking to do it in these incubation groups. Now, unfortunately, due to the requirements around organisations, I can't share with you who those organisations actually are. I've had smaller organisations go and do it. In fact, a competitor to JLL, who I'm moving to, picked this up. Sorry. But at the end of the day, I sort of see the reason why we opened up this content. I mean, you can see it's nothing that I've created. I've just curated a way to actually go about it. So I'm really grateful to the amazing community. But the whole point is, let's go out and build some amazing analysts. Let's go out and get some really good insights. It means that we're building more people that can potentially come into our organisations. I don't think that analysts should stay in roles for years and years and years. They die a little bit on the inside. They don't get any new sort of things or inspiration about what they can go out and do. And if there's things that I can do to help them build on their career, maybe I'm that one manager or that one leader that they look back at and go, wow, there's someone who really truly invested in me and believed in me, and that's something that I want to do. Hi.
I am a total newbie, and I'm pretty good at Excel, but I'm sitting here spinning Excel to update my company's spreadsheets. I can't wait to move that into Tableau. My question for you, like Excel, a user stepping in and typing a letter over a formula, not extending a range, blah, blah. What are the top 3 risks for newbies as they step in to pulling data and visualizing?
That's a tough question. I think even beyond the tooling is really, the first thing is really trying to understand what it is. So your stakeholder will come in and they say, I need Mickey Mouse. And within Mickey Mouse, I've got all of these other Disney characters, and there's such a great long list of what's actually happening. So the first step is to really start to go through that process with the stakeholders and understand what it is that is actually required. So I teach my team about the Moscow model, which is must have, should have, could have. It helps us go through our sprints. It helps us organise what should actually be delivered along the way. So the first tip is get to understand your customer and what they actually need and try and prioritise. The second tip that I have is about getting to understand the data. Now, one of the interesting things about Tableau is, I think in Excel, one of the hurdles that people often feel is, how do I know what's actually going on behind the scenes? There's no harm in actually doing something in Excel while you're learning and also doing it in Tableau if you want to go back and look at what's actually going on. And the third one's kind of random, I suppose, and it comes back more to my modelling days. It's more about understanding null values and what's actually going on, but in a visualization, it can also impact what happens. So just be careful when you're trying to aggregate with null values and then do some calculations on top. Done? I'm so grateful for all of you for coming along today. It's just astounding that so many people rocked up after Data Night Out, and you've been amazing with your questions as well, so thank you, and I really hope that you take my content, come back to me, tell me what's going on. I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.